All right, what's up, guys? Here we are. You see me surrounded by trees. I'm kind of on site and I got some time to kill, so I thought I'd go to shoot for Wednesday's word study video. And so here we are. Welcome. We're here going to take a look at the word love in English, and we're going to dive in. I'm going to show you on screen the scriptures that we're going to be examining today. I've got my notes on hand that I wanted to read off to you as kind of the opening statements to give you a little bit of a foundation before we go live. So on the word love, it's ahab, or some people pronounce it ahav in the Hebrew. It's Strong's Hebrew number 157. And we here in America, or this Western Hemisphere, in Europe and abroad, we have this Western perspective where we interpret love based on how we feel about someone or something. But you see, the Hebrew is a very concrete language and can bring a totally different perspective into thought. So again, when we use love with a Western perspective, it has passion directly tied to it. You know, for instance, when I say that I love something, such as key lime pie or key lime cheesecake, it really doesn't have the same emphasis whenever I say I love my wife. That would essentially be saying that key lime pie and my wife are one and the same. Or I love my wife and I love Yahweh, kind of putting them at equal status, but that's not the case. You see, there's an action behind the Hebrew context of the word love. It's not based on emotion or a feeling, although I'm not saying that feelings and emotions can't be expressed through our actions of showing love, because they are. And that's where I believe, in my personal opinion, that a lot of today's Torah observant family is missing within this walk. We're too busy about arguing on who's right and who's wrong, or trying to pick each other apart through their doctrine. And no, don't get me wrong, I know that we can have disagreements, but that's the very thing. Even though we have disagreements, we should still have the brotherly love toward one another and this affection. So again, when we use the word love with a Western perspective, it has passion directly tied to it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't with an Eastern perspective either, or a Hebrew perspective, but love means different things to different people and can be defined based on the mood you're in when you say it or when you use it. That's so true. So on these two, all the law and the prophecy hang, is what our Messiah had said. Matthew 22:36. Teacher, which is the great command in the Torah? And Yahshua said to him, you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your mind. And he's quoting Deuteronomy 6:5. This is the first and great command, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19:18 he's quoting. On these two commands hang all of the Torah and the prophets, or the law and the prophets. So just beginning right there, we can already see that love has a big part in to do with our walk and how we conduct ourselves with the Father and with his people. So let us get on screen and look at some scriptures, and we'll begin to get into a little bit more detail as we look at this word ahav in the Hebrew. All right, so here we are with the screen close up of the scriptures. We're going to be starting at Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 10. As you can see on screen, I have it highlighted for you. Backing up to verse 9, I'll start reading there. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands to those who love me and guard my commands. Now, this version is just going to be the Hebrew version, because there's so many places I'd like to take you in the New Testament regarding this word love that go back to this one Hebrew word right here. Moving on to Deuteronomy chapter 11, scrolling down to verse 22. For if you diligently guard all of these commands, which I command you to do it, that's the key phrase, is to do it, just as Jacob or James in the New Testament says that be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. To love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cling to him, to serve him, a heart of servitude, to have a desire to want to obey him is the key. He's not looking for robots. He's not looking for people who want, or excuse me, he's not looking for people who are just wanting to go through the motions. You know, Yeshua said that those of you honor me with your mouth, but your heart is far from me. It's at the heart of the matter of man that we got to restore and get that stony heart, that calloused heart out of us and put within us that heart of flesh that Yahweh can prick and begin to develop and till up that soil within our ground so we can get some good stable roots growing in his word and flourish and blossom. Deuteronomy 7 verse 9, know therefore that Yahweh your Elohim, he is El, the faithful El, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. Psalm 4:2. Let me click over there for you folks. Psalm 4:2. Till when, O you sons of men, would you turn my esteem to shame, and would you love emptiness and seek falsehood? Selah. So we see that these people, there's a dichotomy, if you will, of two different ways that we can go. We can go one way, and Yeshua said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by through me. Or we could go to the way that seems right to a man, but in his death. And that's quoted twice in Proverbs. Chapters 14 and 16, I believe. So we see that these men are chasing vanity and seeking falsehood, matters that aren't the way of Yah. And is it because their heart isn't truly there? And we can begin to get into the Greek part of this in the New Testament, if you will. Just leave your comments and feedback in the comments below after this video. Let me know what you would like to do from this word study. Would you like a teaching brought out of it? Because this can be a very controversial topic. There's so many people that can say, oh, boy, Chris, you need to have tough love and like, you know, love them with some sternness behind it. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, if we're trying to reach those and we got a set of scriptures taped to a bat and we're beating them upside the head or across the body, bruising them, we're doing more harm than good. You know, it's just like in T-ball, when I coach my son up through coach pitch, that kid pitch. He went all the way through kid pitch. I forgot. It's been so long. So I don't remember if it was him or one of his teammates, but the way we coached him, the group of coaches I was with, and I've seen it both night and day in the stark contrast of the different coaches that are out there, and you may recognize or be able to relate with this as well. The boy hits the ball and starts taking off down the third base line to third base. We all have seen this probably, or heard of someone that's told us about the story. He's supposed to run toward first base, but he goes the opposite direction. I've literally seen some coaches chew that child's head off, and that leaves a bad taste in their mouth. You know, it probably could scare them to where they don't want to play baseball, or a sport for that matter, ever again, or they're afraid to look up to authority because they don't know the type of counsel or guidance that they might receive downward. But if we can lovingly coach and walk in hand with these new believers that are coming out of the faith in this time of restoration, these end of days, they don't have to be right on the journeying step of 150 that I'm on. I'm not saying I'm on 150, but just as an example, I could be on step 3 for all I know. Every time I learn more, I realize how much I don't know. But for the sake of the example, bear with me. We need to be able to teach people how to get to our level and beyond. And why? It's for the advancement of the kingdom, so they too can go out and rise up taught ones or disciples for Yahweh. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's about the people. It's about reaching a lost, hurting, dying world. You know, love is what we're going to see as a gift. It's giving. It's giving of yourself. It's being compassionate, merciful. It's also of correction too, and teaching people for the training up of righteousness, as we see in 1 Timothy. So let's go here and look at the word in the Hebrew. I'm going to pull up the King James. These instances that I've used in the scripture are the same definition. So here it is. Strong's Hebrew number 157. We've got Ahab. Again, some people pronounce it Ahav with a V. That's neither here nor there. So we got the Brown Driver Briggs that says to love, human love for another. It includes family and sexual, meaning intimacy, like a romantic relationship. And that, I believe that's where we've gone wrong because of the romanticism that's been played on for so many decades and centuries, that we want to romanticize our love. And again, it kind of goes on what I said in the beginning, that there's this passion behind it and that it's the way we feel toward one another. But as we'll see, it's an action. Human love for or toward Yahweh, act of being a friend, a lover, friend. Yahweh's love toward man, to an individual man, to his people Yisrael, to righteousness. Strong's defines it a primitive root to have affection for. Again, sexually or intimately or otherwise. Shows that it's used 208 times. And there's other reference books that we can use to look at each verb conjugation and see how it's used. And I don't have my resources with me on site, but this will be able to allow you to have a little bit more in-depth knowledge on this word. And leave your comments in the comment section about what do you think is missing in the body today of the Torah observant group in Mashiach. Are we missing the mark on a high level concerning love toward our neighbor? I believe that sometimes when we come out of the church and we come into this knowledge, that our love becomes so zealous toward the first 4 commands that pertain to Yah that we begin to push out our love for our neighbor. And we don't understand how to bring that into proper balance. And it kind of takes time to get them to where they meet right here. And at first they might be like this or like this. We got to bring them right here. And again, there's so many scriptures I want to go to in the New Testament. For the sake of this video, it's Hebrew only. So if you'd like to see that or like to see this developed into a more in-depth, thorough teaching, let me know. All right, so we got the hay and the bait. The hay is depicted by a little man with his arms raised. We got the bait, that's a picture of a tent floor plan representing a house, a family. So we see its action as give, concretely it's gift, and we get the abstract love for it. So when you combine the hay and the bait, what it means is to look toward the house or provide for the family. One does not choose the household which one is born into, including tribe, parents, children, and wife, as marriages were often arranged by the father, but it is a gift from Elohim, from Yah. These gifts are seen as a privilege and are to be cherished and protected. So it's almost like, just like our attitude toward the Torah, his instructions, the desire to be an obedient servant to Yah. It's the very same. This love, it's our attitude toward what we've been given and entrusted by our Creator. So if we go down to section C, subsection V right here, I have it on my screen. We have the Aleph, the hay, and the bait. Now, it looks like it's cognately related to Ab, which would be father, or Abba is what people say, and that's Aramaic, but that's, again, neither here nor there. So we know that the father is the provider, protector of the household, both in spiritual terms and financial terms, for making ends meet, if you will. The expressions and actions toward the family which one was privileged with. We express our love and gratitude for others through our actions. It goes way beyond more than just merely words coming out of our mouth. But it's the action behind the word that puts it into action. So we have the verb format here as love. The Aleph, the hay, and the bait. So the Aleph is the ox head, denoting strength, power, the leader. The hay, the man with the arms raised, denotes something, a revealing sight, something's beholding, like wow. It can also mean a breath. You know, it's the breath of life that we get from our leader, our Creator, Yahweh. And then the family, the house, the tent floor plan. You know, we see that this is where the strength reveals and provides his life, his sustenance to the family within the house. Yahweh, in essence, has given us Yeshua to be our transgression on the stake so that we can come back to the Father in righteousness and pursue him and come and join him in his house. But then there's some stipulations that we must also abide by the house rules that are found within his Torah. So this is the beginning of the journey, understanding the true concept of love Hebraically, or scripturally, if you will. I believe that men have twisted it so many times because, like I've always said before, and men began. We begin to complicate things, twist things, say things that aren't what they're meant to be said, or taken out of context, or they're twisted into our own dogmatic bias. It should be really simple. Keep it simple, saints. Kodesh ones. So the expressions and actions toward the family which one was privileged with, I do want to leave it with one scripture out of the Brit, or the New Testament. Brit Hadashah means New Testament for the new viewers. 1 Timothy 5:8. And if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his own household, he has denied the belief and is worse than an unbeliever. I'll give you one more as a teaser. John 13:35. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love to one another. Not knowledge, not any other trait or characteristic that you want to place there, but that you have love toward one another. Love, it's the missing key. And I could just spiderweb onto so many thoughts that are in my brain right now, and other scriptures and things that are connecting me to, but that's not the purpose of this video here. So if you want to see me go down that rabbit hole, leave it in the comment section below. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Hallelujah. Yahweh bless you. And I hope you share this video, and please subscribe to the channel. Let's get this message out there. And I'm going to be producing some content that'll help develop our youth also. So, as always, we'll see you again next time. Shalom and Yahweh bless.